Mar,
Yeah.
you did a Oscar special in Cardew. You were part of the round
Yes.
table. How was that experience?
I really had a lot of fun, and it flew by, and it's especially like remarkable because it was from like 12 at night, at midnight, to 6 in the morning.
On a Sunday of all nights, you know.
On a Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we do it
The
here.
power of the Oscars. When you tune in, you tune in. So, first of all, did anything else happen in the Oscars, like apart from the slap?
No, like basically nothing else happened because when we said like accordingly, yeah, we will talk about the Oscars. We all knew we were going to talk about the Oscars, meaning the slap, because nothing else really happened. Like
the Beyonce performance
That was
in
good,
Compton,
that was
that was
good.
wonderful.
even that
Yeah.
got like outshadowed of the spotlight it would have if it hadn't happened, the slap. But everything is related to the slap. Like you go online and all the media are talking about the slap, nothing else.
What about Megan the Stallion and Encanto? Didn't that not get people
Yeah.
talking?
Nobody's talking.
Even
everybody's
Billie
talking-
Eilish, who usually gets the internet talking because, I don't know, it's easy to... No. And obviously she was super correct. It was just too correct. It was also not bland in a good way. Like
Yeah.
there was no edge, but the Oscars are never edgy unless something out of script happens, no? And stuff. Hang on a second. Just a little quick thing about the Beyonce performance. It was in Compton in a tennis court. I don't think it was the same tennis court where they shot King Richard's scenes where the Williams sisters trained. But it was iconic because the performance started with the melody of Ain't Nothing But a Dr. Dre's Ain't Nothing But a G Thing, which is like a Compton hymn, and the beautiful color that tennis ball lime green
that was so
color.
good.
And she looked so beautiful. I mean, the thing is with Beyonce is she has normalized excellence on such a level. Like all her performances, even the homecoming show at Coachella. She's raised the bar so high that it's a shame that people aren't like, oh yeah, this is just like normal. It's like, motherfuckers, you don't divert your attention. You do look at the whole performance and think, wow. But it's a shame that she's just normalized it. It's like, it's not like, it's almost not spectacular.
I like the
in a
bit
way.
where she arrives with a horse as well. That was really good.
But it wasn't her on the horse.
No, but
Oh, the
she was
girl,
leading-
yeah.
there's
Why?
someone-
I didn't understand the metaphor of the horse.
Is there a metaphor, or is it not just horses are pretty cool?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like that was what I thought. It was like a triumphant way to arrive, you know.
And Ivy Blue performed with her mother. I didn't realize that until afterwards.
Me neither. Like,
Ivy
and I
Blue
was
wasn't-
there watching it.
Yeah. I know there's so many things. Anyway, sorry. So Beyonce, the greatest of all time. Isn't it funny? Every time Beyonce has like a moment, or she's like, there's like, people get up on stage and do things that divert the attention, like the famous Kanye incident.
Maybe
Anyway.
they can't handle it. Maybe they just
Yeah.
know Beyonce is just far too cool, and they're like, "Oh God, someone's taking the attention away from me. I gotta go and do something."
And
Maybe.
Crazy, like a slap. And if we were talking about the Oscars, I feel like we have to talk about this slap. But I want to get like over it already. Everybody's talked about it, but at the same time, I feel like we have to address it at some level. So for people who are living under a rock, because there's no other way you haven't heard about it, Will Smith slapped comedian Chris Rock live at the 94th Academy Awards. And as Chris Rock said live at the show, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me, because he did. And as a response to a joke Chris Rock made about Jada
Pinkett Smith's
bald look, and it clearly didn't sit well with her. So he as Will Smith, after laughing at the joke, seeing Jada wasn't laughing, he stood up and just slapped Chris Rock live on live TV. And the thing, to me, the most important thing now is, was it real, was it fake? Because while I was at Abaixados doing the Tardeo live commenting the Oscars, the thing that happened is we lost connection at that time. Yeah. And we were like, it was a part of the night where we were all already like the people attending were talking and stuff, and then suddenly you could feel everybody shifted, like we were on our phones and stuff, and tweets about the slap started coming, and we were like, what happened? And then we got connection back, and it was broadcasted through Movistar, so there were like presenters talking in Spanish, and they were talking about the slap. And we were like, what happened? And they put back images, and to me, that was the first time I saw it, and I was like, that's totally staged. Like there's no, it didn't even cross my mind.
It's true, because it's like, first of all, Chris Rock and Will Smith were friends. Like they played basketball together. They've done loads of collaborations. Chris Rock appeared on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air playing two roles. Yeah. There's an episode like from back. Chris Rock played a male character and a female character in drag.
Yeah, they're friends, and even if they were just acquaintances, it looked like nothing really serious happened. Like, it looked like Will was acting or something, and the other one was acting too. And I have seen way too many seasons of Keeping Up with the Kardashians to know scripted reality when I see one. And to me, that was clearly like a case of a beat that they were doing and stuff. And especially in my head, it was like, oh, it makes sense because this year they deleted like a few awards that were airing on normally, because
the technical awards,
yeah, because they wanted more audience, so they decided to get rid of these awards and have more viral moments. Like, what's more viral than two celebrities slapping each other on live TV? Like, that really is the definition of viral, even though it's, like, questionable, but it is viral. So it was like, oh, that's staged. And then the next day, after the live event and stuff, and I got the time to see it on Twitter and on YouTube, and the uncensored version, it got me thinking otherwise. Like, now I'm pretty sure it actually was real, because if you see this version, like, there's like a bit of like quietness, there's nothing going on, but you can hear, even though the microphones are off, you can hear Will Smith like shouting, "Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth," like twice.
Yeah.
And Chris Rock is just standing there doing absolutely nothing. Like, you can feel the tension, the awkwardness, and he's like, yeah, man, yeah. Like, doing... you can feel like the awkwardness and the tension, and he really looks like he doesn't know what to do. Like, oh, this is not planned at all. I don't know what my paper as a presenter now is. What should I do? And I read in an article, and to me that's the final proof, that the best proof that this is real is that Chris Rock is not a very good actor. So if it hadn't been real, there was no way he would have managed to make it look so real.
Okay, I gotta step in here. Chris Rock is one of the most wooden actors. He's not natural. It's not his gift. Like, he's one of the funniest comedians ever, but as an actor, he didn't cut it, although he was really good in the last season of Fargo, playing a crime boss in the 1940s or 1920s. It was like surprisingly good. It's like, wow, Chris Rock took acting lessons or something. I don't know what he did.
This was all to me. But yesterday, actually this morning, I saw a tweet that made this story even more interesting, if that wasn't viral enough. Like, ooh, violence, yay. Which said that actually it is maybe something related to Scientology, like the cult celebrities are in. Because apparently there's like a thing in Scientology in which you assert your... like, there's literally like a course, like you take courses in Scientology, and one of them is like asserting your position of being above another, like dominance, and one of the ways to do it is through slapping. And so Will was asserting,
like a therapeutical slap.
Yeah, Will was asserting himself as higher than Chris Rock to the other celebrities who are into Scientology. Like, look, this is the only way I can do to assert myself as the superior person here, because that's how we do it in Scientology. And apparently it's not the only way to do it, because famously Scientologist Tom Cruise also uses this tactic, but he uses in a way of, instead of slapping, he uses screaming, and that's why it's known that he's very rude to people on cruise and films.
Well, remember when the people were not wearing a mask when he was shooting? I think they still haven't even finished the latest Mission Impossible, the Tom Cruise rant.
That's the Scientology thing, to assert himself. Like, there's
the
like
authoritative
specific course related to the ways to assert yourself as a superior to someone who's putting you down or who's making you like look some like inferior when you're not is through slaps, like specifically slaps. It's not like punching. It's a slap, or through like screaming or I don't know.
But they're not like confirmed as Scientologists.
They are Tom Cruise's best friend, like the Smiths. They that's been known. They are very close. Will Smith and Tom Cruise and Jada Pinkett. The whole. But that doesn't mean that Will Smith or Jada are confirmed Scientologists.
Yeah, it's not confirmed, but once you read it under the sense that they might probably be, it makes sense, because otherwise it's like, why would Will Smith like do that? It doesn't really make sense. Like, he could have just not said anything, or I don't know, but a slap is like very weird.
It's very out of character for Will Smith, because Will Smith is Will Smith on screen, but he's also Will Smith off screen, if you know what I mean. Like, Will Smith is always turned on
like
when he's in. He's like a persona. And this is what hurt me the most, because I've been a Will Smith fan since birth. And to see a guy who's consistently over the decades always been the best version of this Will Smith, like always super happy, always a vibe, like the power this guy has.
But don't you think, though, that might be the thing, that basically I think you can only do that for a certain amount of time, and then you just can't do your life like that. And Will Smith has had a pretty hard couple of years, right?
How? What, because of his wife's open relationship, or?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the video of, I think it's called The Red Table, isn't it? The Red Table the other day.
Her talk show.
And, like, he, for me, the look on his face is like, okay, so not only am I finding this out, I'm also doing it on, like, a podcast, on a video that everyone can see.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's almost like, is that my life now? Is that how it has to be? Like, poor guy.
But you know how being like, a celebrity, being on brand, it's not that hard for them, especially when you've got so many millions coming in from being on brand all the time. Like, Will Smith he doesn't even have to make rap albums anymore. He just makes movies that make a lot of money. He's also an executive producer now in most of his films. And as long as he kept that illusion, it worked.
But he's a person, I know he's Will Smith, and but he's a person. He's got feelings.
He's an A-list. Being an A-list Hollywood star, it's a different race. I mean, it's not even, you've got Jeff Bezos or all these kind of tycoons. It's like, it doesn't matter. Being an A-list Hollywood star, like Leonardo DiCaprio, like Sandra Bullock, like Nicole Kidman. Sandra Bullock is A-list. I'm not talking about the critical, cool actors like Daniel Day-Lewis or Frances McDormand. I'm talking about that kind of A-list that you go to some desert in the middle of Sudan and you show a picture of Sandra Bullock to a kid and he's like, oh, yes, Sandra Bullock. This is what broke my heart. Like, Will, what are you doing with, you're breaking this ideal that a lot of us have been looking forward to. It's unreal. You can't be this perfect all the time. There's no such thing. But at least it's an ideal, like Batman, You're this ideal. You represent this version of the best version of what a human can be. Someone who spreads joy, positivity, entertains, makes movies that you actually want to watch and you don't sleep through.
But this is why his speech when he won the award was so sort of weird, wasn't it? Because he was like trying to balance, like Richard Williams had always said, basically, we don't use violence, we just kind of don't respond. And he was like trying to justify that. And I felt really bad for him because he was like, he's bawling his eyes out.
Yeah.
And it kind of wasn't quite coherent, if you see what I mean.
It was so weird. Like, I didn't believe at all. I was like, how can you win Best Actor? And I'm not believing these tears at all. Like, this seemed so off-putting to me, like crocodile tears.
I think he was cracking. I think he was cracking, as in, when you're losing it, and too many things. And I think there were tears of just madness. I think. Plus, it was it was a little bit incoherent. He was trying to link the thing about King Richard and I'm turning into the father, the overprotective father of the family. And it's like, for some reason I thought, this is cynical Hollywood. Like, he's just trying to promote King Richard because he got paid $40 million for his role. This is a publicity stunt. This is Will Smith being an ace publicity manager, like making sure that the conversation is about King Richard and the story of an overbearing father and stuff. But no, I think it's like we're seeing what Denzel said, the devil appearing at his highest moment. Sorry, Mar, continue.
This Oscars ceremony very much gave chaos in a level that only happened when La La Land won for a minute or like 30 seconds best movie, then to be taken back to for Moonlight because they made a mistake. Like, this level of chaos hadn't happened in years. This year will be remembered as the year of the slap. Like, nothing else was relevant, nothing else was interesting. The conclusion here is what they're looking for is the Oscars are only entertaining and will only have viral moments when they're unscripted.
And when you invite a lot of black people.
You can only say that because that could be very racist.
No. There's this thing about saying Oscars so white, we're so boring. You know, when you bring diversity into it, it gets exciting. And I've seen a lot of people on Instagram is like, this didn't happen when Cary Grant and blah, blah, blah. It's like, look, shut your mouth. You have to understand, Denzel Washington, Will Smith, Chris Rock, this is royalty for black people all over the world. The closest thing we have to aspirable royal figures are these Hollywood celebrities, right? And maybe Michael Jordan. The other ones deceived us in the past. Michael Jackson, too dark. Bill Cosby, motherfucker. You know, we have all these people that we used to look up to. And the good ones, they got shot. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, damn it, God damn it. You know, so all we have now still all we had was Will Smith. And to have Denzel, who is like King Jaffa, and Will Smith, who is Prince Hakeem, and Chris Rock, who is Chris Rock, you know, just to have that moment of seeing Denzel like acting as big brother to Will or being the big brother figure, like consoling him, that was like worth the slap. If Eddie Murphy would have been at that ceremony, and he would have done what he usually does, which is always bring the community back together. If he would have managed to get Will and Chris Rock to hug it out afterwards, there would have been a love parade in every city in the world, from Kinshasa to Bedford-Stuyvesant. Even the biggest, happiest gay parade would have paled in comparison to the tears of joy black people would have had if Eddie Murphy would have been there to bring these two people together.
One thing I thought was really interesting, there's this whole like tradition at the moment in the US particularly, or in award shows, where you have this roast basically.
Yes.
And like it used to be, you know, a few years ago, you'd go and do the Oscars and your opening speech would be like, well, you've all made some very good films, well done. And now it seems to have totally changed, you know, like the whole Ricky Gervais kind of thing. Basically, what you're meant to do is you're meant to go up there and you're meant to like absolutely just
lay into them.
Yeah. And it's kind of a weird cultural thing, I think, in a way. And actually, I think maybe we're getting to the point where it's no longer good. I'll give you an example, right? Like I remember I once went to an award ceremony, and there it was when Amy Winehouse was alive, and it was a music award ceremony. She was kind of alive.
She was there?
She performed, yeah. And but the presenter, who what's his face? Awful person. Anyway, I can't remember. Like British comedian, big on conspiracy theories. And like,
wait, Russell Brand.
That's it. Yes. And talking about like how like her name was like a description of her liver, but like and so anyway, like I remember we were all there and we all kind of like laughed along. Isn't that funny? And then like a few years later, I saw the Amy documentary, and it's like, and people were saying horrible things about Amy Winehouse, and I saw that clip which I'd sort of laughed along about, and I was like, oh my God, that's horrible.
Because now that you have all these documentaries, like the Pam and Tom, when all of a sudden you see Jay Leno's jokes edited next to a scene of the actress playing Pamela Anderson like being in the worst, then it's like, oh, you know, it's like comedians, the worst people ever. But you know, first of all, the roasting culture, they even do that in corporations where they'll get the CEO and they'll have a little roast whenever they have a company retreat. It's kind of like a healthy thing of laugh at the emperor just for an hour.
But it's kind of humor that's very specific, and not everybody is able to do it in a good way. Like I don't know, it feels like it's for everybody. Like, oh, now all comedians have to do this type of humor, and if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. You have other ways to be funny and stuff, and if you're not the best at making jokes about other people land in a non-offensive way, even though it's possible, then don't do that and do another stuff that you're good at. When
they do a presidential roast, okay, and like they kind of do it about the president of the United States, that makes sense. It's like, okay, you've got immense, vast amounts of power. But like, imagine like you're the sound technician on a film, right, and it was a big flop.
Yeah.
Okay. And then like someone comes out of the Oscars and goes, well, hey, about that film that no one saw. It's difficult because I'm not totally against it, but I just think this whole tradition has maybe got a bit out of hand. It's got a bit of...
I think to them it's like an easy laugh.
I don't know. I'm team Ricky Gervais. I mean, when he starts roasting Johnny Depp's and Sean Penn's to make fun of someone's medical condition, that's maybe a no-no. But it wasn't really the worst. wasn't the most tasteless Chris Rock has ever been. And because he has a history with Jada Pinkett where they've worked together on they were both vocal actors on Madagascar. You know, they've worked together. They've been together many. So I guess there's confianza, like to sort of, and even though it's a touchy subject for her,
she openly talked about it, how it's bad for her.
Okay, and self-esteem and all, I'm all for that. But first of all, Jada Pinkett, you are still one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood. I'm going to say it. She still looks radiant as hell, and her shaved head looks fantastic on her, and it makes other people who have that condition and stuff say, hey, it's okay to, there's nothing wrong with it.
Chris Rock is not a good comedian.
What?
That's the conclusion.
Okay, I can't, that's a different argument. But usually Chris Rock's thing, like what he's good at, is roasting people in a way that even the people being roasted laugh. That has always been, whereas other people might not do it right, but Chris Rock's speciality as a comedian when he gets brought into award shows is he always manages to take a dig in a way that's like, cabrón, yeah, you give me a little slap there, motherfucker, but I'll let you go. Because he's a funny motherfucker.
Are you familiar with simulation theory?
No.
It's basically the theory that we're all living in a simulation.
Oh, yeah.
Technology in the future has got so good that they can basically, recreate whole civilizations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I got to say, this Will Smith slap or non-slap or whatever it was just made me think like, this might be the moment that I've realised I'm living in a simulation. Because it's just like, this is too strange. It's really,
It's like a glitch in the simulation. Yeah. They put an automat control and they forgot about, damn it, now Will Smith is slapping Chris Rock. Oh my God, I forgot to control the simulation.
Well, they were just like, no one's going to believe this.
No, I know. It's like almost like, wow, they took it a step farther. But for another thing, let's not feel sorry for any of the people involved. Chris Rock Chris Rock is in the middle of a world tour called the Ego Death Tour. It is just sold out. Like he's going to have to prolong his tour. This motherfucker knows that tomorrow morning, Monday morning, Chris Rock could go to any of the most important offices of the streaming platforms, and there's going to be the fattest check a comedian has ever had waving in front of their eyes saying new comedy special talking about this. Everyone's going to make money except us. But never mind, we still have wonderful things to talk about to keep us excited.